Athletor podcast coming at you. This week's guest, Mike VanBrill. He's wrestling at RAF April 18th down in Philadelphia. Hometown kid. The kid grew up in South Jersey. He's wrestling Jordan Oliver on one of wrestling's biggest stages. And I got to tell you something. I was really impressed with the way the kid thought about the sport in terms of, yeah, I know I'm the underdog. I know I'm not supposed to win this match, but I'm going to win this match. Watch. So you'll see his kind of evolution and how he came to this mindset. All that and a ton more coming up on the podcast, man. Don't miss it. Mike VanBrill, thank you so much for sitting down with us today, brother.
Thank you for having me, man. I'm excited to talk about the matchup and everything that we got going on here coming real soon.
Okay, let's talk about it, man. You're wrestling JO on an RAF card. How did that all come about? How did you get in touch with them? How did that go down?
I'd say over the past 6 months before Real American Freestyle, they really just started having their first couple events and really was a big fan of it from the very start. At the time, I was actually out in Boise, Idaho. I was living there for about 2 years. So I was out of the East Coast. I left Jersey and I was working for an entrepreneur who used to be a wrestler. He was still is as a software tech founder, highly successful and was learning the business world and really just out there still training. Went to the US Open and was still really competing. So as we approached the summertime, they were looking to get me on a card and something didn't happen. It was a last minute thing where I wasn't able to make it happen. It was a match out on the West Coast. So that fell through, but I stayed persistent on the fact that I was going to get on a card in the future, and they wanted to have me on before the year turned around. There's not a better card that I would want to be on than in my hometown in Philadelphia. This is where I live. This is where I grew up. I grew up 30 minutes outside of Philadelphia. I grew up in a small hometown of 5,000 people, and I was born and bred in a really high-level family with wrestlers from all my uncles spanning. So I grew up in this town, and I also grew up watching Jordan Oliver and how he competed throughout his career. So I think it's a perfect storm. I described it on a podcast with Nick Costco. I think that it was truly meant to be. This one is going to go down. It's going to be super exciting. And I'm looking to really make noise in the featherweight division. I actually, man, like I haven't felt this good in a long time. I think that freestyle was tough after college because I was always in between. I was actually talking to Sammy Sasso today. He's an RTC athlete at Rutgers. And we were talking about how just the weight. So like I was all up and down through my college career. I wrestled 141 for 2 years. And then 157, I qualified for the national tournament the year COVID happened, so I didn't get to wrestle there. And then I dropped back down to 149 pounds for 2 years. And that was really like my best weight class. I felt like I was actually in the right weight class. I wasn't cutting too much. I wasn't wrestling guys like Ryan Deacon at 157 where my body was half
Ryan
this.
Deacon, first of all, Ryan Deacon is a bad example because he has hollow bones. How he ever made 157 pounds is bananas to me. He's
Bananas.
enormous.
Yeah, I wrestled him twice that year, once at the Rutgers and then once at the Big Ten. So I was going against guys that probably were coming down from 180, whatever it is. And I'm normally like in shape 165. Sometimes I could push up to 170 and I've touched 180 before, but I didn't feel good. So I've been everywhere in the weight class. And what I was talking about was like today, man, 145 is it's going to be a cut for me. Like I was at 165, came down, and I'm weighing out around 152 something like that right now. So I'm dialed, super lean, training with all the guys. And I think 145 is really, if I were to ever go to UFC or something like that, would be the weight that I'd probably fight and compete at.
Okay. Okay. And let's talk a little bit about, you said this is as good as you felt in a long time, right? I don't know that we're making any major news. I don't think we're breaking any news right now, but the NCAA schedule, and specifically in the Big Ten, that's a grind on your body, dude. That is a grind on your body. Talk to me about what it's like now being able to train at a high level, but not have to go through the things that you went through during a Big Ten schedule.
Some of the major differences is the way we're cutting weight, the way you manage your water weight. So, specifically the morning of weigh-ins or night before weigh-ins are much different than 2-hour weigh-ins. And it's also much different than weighing in twice a week. Those are some of the biggest differences that I think even now it's interesting because I do feel really fresh. Like I feel like my mindset is fresh to wrestle. My mindset is fresh to go out and compete. I don't have the strings tied to a scholarship, coaches, and competing, and like really the weight of trying to make it happen as a college athlete. There's a ton of pressure as Big Tens, and to really be competing every single week and winning those ranked matchups. And are you the guy, or is the guy behind you who won in New Jersey States, is he going to be the guy? So there's a lot of different pressures that you deal with as a Division I athlete that I think right now it's like I'm not really dealing with those pressures. I have a life outside of wrestling. I have passions outside of wrestling, even though wrestling is one of my favorite parts of my life. And that's why I compete every single week. Every single chance I get to wrestle and compete and put myself on a big stage like this, I would do it 100% in a heartbeat because I truly love the sport of wrestling. And that's why I do it. And now RAF really has opened up the door to not only have fun and build a following and be able to wrestle in front of fans and wrestle with UFC fighters. That was always my dream to do that. And now it's really a possibility to not only get paid, not only to create a career in wrestling, but to expand it past college athletics. And that's to answer your question. I feel better. I feel like fresh. I feel refreshed.
I know exactly what you're talking about. College wrestling comes with and I know wrestling in the Big Ten, but I can imagine, especially in the Big Ten, comes with a tremendous amount of pressure that you walk in with into the wrestling room every single day. Because the dude, like you said, the dude coming for your spot is right next to you, and you got to train with him every day, and that breeds this kind of this air of competition. I don't know about you, but when I was training after that, I almost felt guilty that I felt good in the wrestling room. I felt this weird kind of like guilt. Like, am I supposed to be happy right now? I'm happy because it's okay. Is it okay that I'm happy? Is that weird? I think everyone goes through that. Talk me through like the shift in the mindset that you have, because now you're happy in a wrestling room. All of a sudden, you're a little bit more productive. You're happy in a wrestling room. All of a sudden, that weight cut doesn't seem as daunting. It's not as bad, but there is a level of guilt that you feel like, aren't I supposed to be miserable here?
Yeah, I would say probably the easiest thing to start would be that weight cut process of if you're making weight every day, you're competing like weekly, it's a whole different mindset of you're just, I talk about it all the time. It's like you're in a whole different world. It's hard to relate to people who are living a normal life, who go to school and then get home and they work and they
Did you
eat.
ever have
So,
roommates in college that didn't wrestle? I
no.
had one. I was like, y'all just don't get it. I'm sorry. I don't want to try
Yeah.
and tell you, but go ahead.
Later on in college, there was people that actually maybe were on the team and then gave
Did
up halfway through, or that something happened and they went off and they're living, and it's just a complete 360 to going out every night, drinking, and really living the life of just like a regular normal college person or someone who is working every day. It's a whole different thing. And there's a con and a pro to it, because cutting weight was great and it was something that I think got me to like dedicate my body and really get down. Like 149 was perfect. Like I said, it's choosing the right weight class. But at the same time, it's like I qualify for nationals after 2 years of beating my body down, trying to make 141 pounds. And then I move up to 157 to a spot where I'm not really truly a 157 pounder, but I was doing it because I didn't want to cut weight anymore. I wanted to go after it and try something different. I was eating Haagen-Dazs every single night, trying to keep up my weight. And then I
Mhm.
qualified for nationals. So it's like I wasn't that miserable at 157 because I wasn't cutting weight. But at the same time, I competed a lot better and more freely, and I didn't feel the weight of that misery. So it is like a double-edged sword where you want to be hungry, you want to be like itching to, I don't know, because cutting weight does make you hungry, metaphorically
Sure.
speaking and physically speaking. So
Right.
it's like balancing that and realizing, because you even see it on a lot of these younger guys. Like even talk about the NCAAs this weekend. Like Vega was a great example. He's out there laughing on the mat, smiling, and just having a good time. And I think that's where wrestlers need to get back to, in that flow state and that mindset of having fun with it and being grateful. I tapped into that today at practice, where it's like there was a weight of when I'm going one-on-one Sammy Sasso, or 2 rounds we need to go, and he's probably right now probably 10 pounds heavier or something, whatever it is, but I know I got to go. And it's weird, you get the weight, you feel like basically in my blood round match against Max Murin, there was a complete mindset shift of my career being on the line, knowing that if I lost this match, my career would be over. I would not be coming back to for another year to finish up my masters and really get some sort of like substance out of my wrestling career. And so I lost my first round to Peyton Omania. He was a really good freestyle wrestler. Lost to him, dropped to the Wrestlebacks in the blood round at the Big Ten, and career on the line, scholarship on the line, everything really on the line. Some really good stud named Jojo Aragona coming up to try and wrestle another year at 149. And I was like back on against the wall, dropped to the Wrestlebacks. I beat Max Murin, pull out like the biggest win of my life. And it wasn't because I was better, like physically, or because I changed something magically in my wrestling. It was literally because I was like, I'm grateful that this career was here because this might be my last match and I might not ever get to wrestle on a wrestling match ever again. So like it was complete shift. Like he was like slapping his face trying to get ready for this match. And I'm over here just like looking at the scenery, taking everything in, knowing that if I lose, then I'm on to the next phase of my life. And then pull out the win. And then I win 5 straight to take third at the Big Ten, which then gets me a full ride to chase my master's degree, come back from my career win highs in my senior year. But it's like that all happened because of one little tiny moment. And I feel like if I can tap into that come April 18th, where I'm in flow, I'm grateful. I know that, hey, if I do lose this, that RAF could easily have me back because I bring attention to the sport and I got a good social media, all those things. But it also might be not. It might be the next phase. And like, I'm fully okay with that. And that's what's going to make me even more dangerous on the mat because I've tapped into that before and I see what's happened. I've beaten the best in the country when I tap into that.
How do we bottle that now? That's the trick. How do we? Because it's easy. I shouldn't say it's easy. It's
Yeah.
simple. It's
Simple.
it's
That's a great, yeah.
simple, right? There's a big difference. So it's simple to say relinquish the outcome. But how do we get even young athletes, right? I don't know if you have any interest in coaching at all, but like how do we get young athletes to really do that, right? So I talk about it with my son, right? Like he cut a tremendous amount of weight this year, and not because he wanted to, but because he had to make the team. We have a very competitive wrestling team in Poway. Like we're top 10 in the country every year. So he had to, in order to make the team, he had to cut down 132 pounds. He walks around at 155. You know, if he's fat and happy, he's 160. And I'm trying to explain to him, like, you have to relinquish the results don't really matter that much. But I just suffered in a sauna. I just ran X amount of miles. I cut down to 32. I have spent this entire year shrinking myself and I have no control of the outcome. Yeah, sorry. That's really hard to digest. I don't mean to bring in more food metaphors, but it's
Yeah.
hard to digest when you're in it. So how do we bottle that and make that decision that you made while you were on deck with Max Muir?
Yeah, it's weird because for to be completely honest, and this is something that's I can sit here and talk and say all these things, but in reality, it's like I wasn't able to tap into that all the time. And when I did tap into it, it wasn't really my free will that made that happen. It was more of the
You were forced into
circumstances.
it. Yeah.
I was forced into that moment and then it's like there was no other option to just be like, oh, okay, here we go. So it's like, how do you flow with life in general? Because it's flowing with life in general. It's because it wasn't just that moment. And I talk about the moment a lot, but it really wasn't that moment. Like that moment started when I was a freshman year. I didn't make it to States. Sophomore year, I went 0 and 2. And then me and my family and everyone was like, hey, listen, you were supposed to be this like high school superstar. What's going on? And you're failing. Go do something. So they sent me to a Jay Robinson boot camp in Minnesota for 30 days and then came back a whole different man. I was finally tasted what actual committing to something was. And then I came back fifth in the state. My only loss was the Shane Griffith. And then my senior year, I made it. I was 37-0 until the state finals, wrestled Shane Griffith again. And I was winning the whole time, got ankle picked in the last 5 seconds and lost.
He's
And
good at that though.
yeah, he's super good. But like that,
But he's specifically good at ankle picking people in the last couple seconds of a match.
and then I go on to college where really good redshirt freshman year, sophomore and junior year wasn't really that great. And then, but it's, man, I wrestled so many matches. I lost so many times. I got put into so many like moments where I probably didn't think I was going to make it through. And so that was probably 18 years of my life dedicated to one moment of back against the wall. Here we go. So it's really, can your son or young kids like, you don't really know when they're going to win or lose the tournaments that they need to or not don't need to. but it's like, how long can you stay in the fight? And then when there's a moment that clicks where, succeeding is right on the other side, you're like 3 feet away from gold. That's where a lot of those successes are found. And do you have enough chip in your shoulder? Do you have enough energy to just chip a little bit more until you get something that you're actually happy about? And like for
Or
me, that
maybe it's
was,
the opposite. Maybe you're not 3 feet away from gold. Maybe you're 3 feet away from complete failure. What
yeah.
feels like complete failure, right? Because
Mhm.
that's what it seems like. Like if you like, so God, I hate to say this because my son hates when I bring it up, but the best advice I ever got was after I lost in the state finals. My high school coach sat me down and he let me cry and piss and moan for whatever it was, 10, it felt like a year. It was probably only like 10 minutes. But he was like, yeah, there's about 4 billion Chinese people that don't give a shit that you just lost. And I'm like, great, thanks. But he was right. The sun's definitely coming up tomorrow, whether you win a state wrestling tournament or not. And so I think when we kind of zoom out or allow our athletes, give our athletes the perspective of zooming out, boy, it takes a lot of that pressure off of you. And so going into April 18th against JO, what perspective do you have now that maybe was hard to see when you were an athlete at Rutgers?
one of the biggest things is I thought that when I graduated college and my career ended and I didn't get the goal that I wanted, or maybe like, actually, I got a goal that maybe was worth all of it, which for me was the third place at the Big Ten and the 3-time medalist. That was worth it for me.
Mhm.
But a lot of people don't get that. So then what happens is when they don't get it, they lose the steam and they don't continue into the next phase of their life. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes. I was talking to someone who from the Rutgers wrestling team who didn't have the year he wanted, but he was in the gym today. And I was like, "Oh, you got another year left?" And he was like, "No, like I'm done." He's like, but looking in the next phase. And he's like, "Hey man, like I've been watching your content, like your marketing and your business stuff and AI and everything you're doing." I really want to learn more about that. And I was like, dude, that's the mindset you need. I was like, because if you have any ounce of, oh, I'm just gonna figure it out, I don't know, like I already put in so much work in wrestling, maybe I'll just go do something else. Like it's that mindset of continuing to get back up and want to get back on the horse. And for me, speaking about April 18th, I think that I'm okay with whatever happens in regards to wrestling. If some freak thing happens and I lose, it for me, I have such good things going outside of wrestling that I'm excited for, right? It's not all on the line for me. Like I want to continue to wrestle, continue to compete. I do believe I'm going to beat Jordan Oliver April 18th. I do believe that. And I also believe that I'm going to go into the featherweight division in Real American Freestyle and like literally take over the division. I think I could beat anybody who they've had in featherweight. And I think that is easily a possibility for me in my life. I don't know exactly what's going to play out, but I also love what's happening with just like in general marketing and being able to basically build your brand up and create opportunities online through being an athlete, through being a wrestler. And I
Mhm.
want to pursue that regardless of what happens. Change young kids' lives, maybe change their mindset on wrestling and competing and help them into the next phase of their life. I think they say you can help the person who's 5 years prior to where you are. And I truly believe that I could really help that person who is in their junior, senior year, who is a wrestler, who maybe wants to get to that placement on the top of the podium. And then after that, they know they got a bigger route ahead, which is in the business world. So I think I could help with that transition or help with that mindset of, hey, whatever happens in wrestling, get back on the horse because there's an even bigger competition out there. Like I said, like April 18th, I do believe that I'm going to go in there and beat Jordan Oliver, shock everybody, and just I'm super dedicated. My body, my nutrition, how I feel is amazing. I'm training. I'm passionate about life and all those things. And I'm the underdog. If you look at it in regards to rankings and how much he has going for him, I do believe I'm the underdog, which makes me more dangerous. It makes me more excited. I have no pressure. And you're going to see on April 18th that I'm going to hit some high flyers and try and really get him going, get him out of his motion of 1 point matches. I want to make it exciting, change how he wrestles and show some of the crazy moves that I've been hitting at the big highest level right on Real American Freestyle and get people excited about it.
All right. So let's get to the nuts and bolts of this thing, man.
Yeah.
How are you going to slow down his motion? His motion is when he decides. See, so for me, you said it best, right? He said his 1 point matches. He calls it like actually can't say it on air what he calls it, but like his motion is really good. And sometimes he can kind of lull you to sleep with like his repetitive motions, just little micro level changes, and then bang, he's coming after you with a big double, or he's coming after you with a low single or something like that.
My plan is to wrestle my game plan. I'm super heavy in the hand fight. I have really good defense in regards to those little shots, those micro shots, that those fakes that he's got. So I plan on tying him up in the tie ups, in the upper body throws. That's where I love to be. So I plan on baiting him into those upper body positions and using it to my advantage. I have really good defense. It'll slow down his fakes and it'll really slow the pace of the match, get him frustrated, and then he's going to want to dive in on a shot or just reach for something, and that's when I'm going to hit my big flyers, my throws. I hit Jonesy tilts from single legs if he wants to dive in on that. I'm looking for all different types of creative wrestling. So that's my plan right there. And just to look back on his last match against Bartlett, he wrestled Bartlett. Bartlett basically won. I thought he won, and then Jo contested the push-out points. And looking back, I had a whole year's worth of competing against Bartlett. I'm 2-0 against him, one at Penn State Arena, and then one beating him at the Big Ten tournament. They were close matches, but similar styles of pushing forward, heavy pace, fakes, left, very heavy on the left foot, and I do really well against them. So I think that Bartlett almost took him out. I took out Bartlett pretty handedly twice. I think that I'm going to take out Jordan Oliver. I think that it's going to be an exciting matchup, and I plan on, like I said, tying him up, getting to my shots, getting to my moves, and then really pushing the pace. I believe if everything goes right, say I hit some high flying moves in the first period, I think the goal would be to get a tech fall and get a 10-point decision on Jo and then take him out and then move to the next thing on Real American Freestyle.
All right, so here's the thing though, right? Let's careful what you wish for. Because I'm going to put you in a scenario right now. Let's say you beat Jo. Let's say you win the 145-pound title for RAF. Does that change some of your business plans?
I think it feeds into it. I think that the things that you see right now, I love. I'm not even mentioning names, but some of the people in Real American Freestyle I've called out. They've built big brands in wrestling, and they are bringing attraction to the sport. So I think that they're doing some similar things with creating a business around their brand and marketing in general. And I plan to do the same. I think it could work hand in hand. I think that I could be one of those next people who is making real money from it. I would love that. But like I said, one step at a time. Would it change the things about business? Probably not. I think that right now I have a awesome shout out VanBrill Pools. Right now we have a construction company in South Jersey focusing on high end pools. And that is something that we have a big system. We've been around for 50 years. I've been working in the business since I was like 10 years old. So I know it like the back of my hand. I'll continue to help and push the business forward. My brother is here. He works here too. And we work all as a family unit. But it's an advantage to have a family business because at the same time, I can shoot up to Rutgers in an hour and go train with some of the best wrestlers in the country. So I want to work it into my lifestyle regardless. And so there's some other things outside of the construction company too that I've learned. If you're familiar, some of the people are familiar, but I worked at ClickFunnels. It was the fastest non-venture capitalist backed software company, fastest growing, and it scaled to 100 million in 3 years. So I got to see like a wrestler who was an entrepreneur that started a software company like that, scaled it, was business partners with Tony Robbins in mastermind.com, got to meet Tony and got to meet all these high level people. And it's moving, it's growing. For me, it's like a whole different form of competition where I'm no matter what, I'm going to do that. Even if I'm a wrestler, I'm going to continue to check out how we can monetize our name and teach wrestlers like, hey, listen, you're building hard set skills that, are getting more and more well known. Like wrestlers are finally getting noticed and getting treated and paid as professional athletes. On the back end, I would say I started marketing back in a sophomore year in college, my career, consistently posting on short form content, which then made me one of the most watched NCAA wrestlers. And I wasn't the best. I went in ranked
Well,
top
you
10
weren't
in.
undefeated throughout college, right? No, I get it.
No, I wasn't that. I wasn't that blue chip recruit that came in and got $1 million signing bonus. That
Right.
wasn't me. I worked my way in every single year, but that skill set of marketing and bringing attention is the reason why I'm right here today. And I think that it can grow, and we'll just take it one step at a time. This is fun for me to get to walk on the mat against one of the best in the country, an actual real competitor, not an influencer wrestler. This is a
Right.
real wrestler, and I
Why
bridge
are you
that.
calling out Giorgio like that, bro? Come
Oh
on.
no, not at all, man. If Giorgio wants to wrestle, I'll bump up 3 weight classes to wrestle Giorgio. I really would, and have no problem doing it. I actually respect what they're doing with him and Caden and all those guys are bringing. They're bringing eyes to the sport. Not that I wouldn't wrestle them and beat them up, but I would do that. But I love it. I think it's great for the sport.
It is.
And
I'm playing.
oh yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, I think it's all good things, and I'm excited to see where all of this goes.
All right, brother man. We're gonna get to our sprint here now. Don't think too much about these questions. Just try and fire away as best you can. Cool?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. What's the best wrestling shoe of all time?
Best wrestling shoe?
Yeah.
The OG Inflix.
Really? What colorway?
I take it back. Gold
Okay.
Rulons.
Oh, you son of a gun. Joel's got them. They're right behind him.
I had a brand new pair of gold roll-ons for my state finals. If you ever take the picture, it's me and Shane Griffith in the finals. I had these brand new pair of gold roll-ons. They were my favorite shoes ever. I had to get rid of them because Rutgers was Nike at the time.
Yeah. So Joel, you still have them, or did you give them to Marinelli?
Yeah, they're here. They're here.
Okay.
One of a kind.
Marinelli's been all over him for a pair of those black and gold Rulons. All right. Next question. What are you reading right now, man? Give us a book rec.
Can it be a podcast or it has to be a book?
Sure.
I listen to a ton of Tony Robbins' mindset. He has a bunch of different courses and trainings on basically how to enter your body in the right state, certain things that you could talk to yourself, things to think about, ways to think about in life. Really have been immersed into personal development. I think Tony Robbins is probably the epitome, one of the best mindset, positive gurus out there. And I've been consuming a ton of just his podcasts.
Okay. All right. You only get 4. They got to be American. Who is on your Mount Rushmore of wrestling?
Sorry.
Who's on your Mount Rushmore of wrestling?
Mount Rushmore of wrestling. I think Jackson Forrest just made it after this weekend.
Jax Forrest. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
And then Jordan Burroughs.
Got to keep the South Jersey. I got it.
Yeah, I got to train with him a couple times, and he's been awesome in the journey. Yeah, definitely Jordan Burroughs makes it up there. And then Dan Gable.
Okay. Gable's on there.
Yep. And then
one more. Fourth is always the toughest.
Yeah. And then who's a really good Russian?
Has to be American.
Has to be American. Got it. Probably go. Man, I'm really thinking about this one. I'm just gonna go Gable Stevenson. He's on the top of my mind.
All right. That's not a bad one. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
I like it. All right. Last question. You get a magic wand and you get to change one thing about the sport of wrestling and it changes immediately. What would it be?
Yeah, so one rule would simply be push out is 1 point in folk style and freestyle.
Yeah, dude. How much did we see that this past weekend, bro? If we just get away from this, is it stalling? Is it not? Take it out. It's just too hard to, and try to put yourself in those officials' shoes. Like that's really hard to call on the biggest stage in wrestling.
And then one more is if you're in the overtime and you're looking to get a takedown, those refs, they give reaction time in first, second, third period to let the wrestle action play out. Why are we taking a takedown away from PJ Duke in that scenario? Why are we calling it 2? I don't know. Sorry. That was
No, you're good. Look, man, look.
Let it play out. He's in a cradle.
You're going to stop the match while somebody has a cradle locked up? That's hard to do. And then take it away. Oh, it was funny. We posted, PJ actually had the most takedowns in the NCAA tournament. Like he had 24 takedowns in the NCAA tournament. That's impressive. But everyone in the comments was like, he had 25.
Literally.
That's tough, man.
Yeah.
And Robideau goes out there and beats Trelly. You took a national title. Now, look. Is PJ Duke going to have a tremendous amount of success moving forward? Yes, of course. But the fact is that I don't think they got it right. I don't.
Yeah.
And yeah, am I Oklahoma State homer a little bit? Yeah, I am. But I'll be the first to admit that was not.
Yeah.
That was not right that they stopped that.
Crazy.
Unbelievable. All right, Mike VanBrill, April 18th, RAF. Where is it at? In Philly, right?
Philadelphia. Yep.
All right, man. Good luck, and we'll talk to you soon, brother.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, brother.